Hello there, this is Welsh ASMR 82. Hey, how you doing? So, in today's ASMR video, I'm going to look through this World Soccer magazine. This is the second video I've done with this particular edition. So I'm just going to browse through the magazine and read some interesting articles. Interesting articles. Such as this one. This is stylus, but I'm just going to use it as a pointer today. So, the month in numbers. This is an interesting one. Eye-catching facts and stats from the world of football this month. This was January, I think. 101. Years that Romanian team Astra Giurgiu, who knocked West Ham United out of the 2015-2016 Europa League, existed before having their professional status stripped in January. Oh, really? 251 consecutive La Liga matches played by Athletic Bilbao's Iñaki Williams. I love him. A record streak that was brought to an end by the winger's injury in January. Oh, he's back playing now, though. That's incredible, though. 251 consecutive matches. 7 minutes that it took Dortmund's Sebastian Haller to hit a hat-trick in a friendly versus Basel in January. His second match since undergoing treatment for testicular cancer. 26 ex-Chelsea players that have gone on to score against them in the Premier League after Willian netted against the Blues for Fulham. No club has conceded as many goals to former players. 83,500. The capacity of Sydney's Stadium, Australia, where the 2023 Women's World Cup opening game will now take place in an attempt to meet ticket demands. It was originally scheduled for the 45,500 seater Sydney Football Stadium. 5. Leagues between Aberdeen and the team that knocked them out of the Scottish Cup, Darvel, who play in the West of Scotland Premier Division. The result was described as the biggest upset in the competition's 149-year history. 22 million. Figure pledged to the Ukrainian war effort by Shakhtar Donetsk chief Rinat Akhmetov following the club's sale of Mikhailo Mudryk to Chelsea. 15. Serie A points deducted from Juve after an investigation into the club's past transfer dealings. 2. Days that head coach Davide Nicola was sacked by Serie A side Salernitana before being reinstated by the club's board. 55. Age of ex-Japan international striker Kazuyoshi Miura, the oldest professional footballer in the world, who joined Portuguese second division side Oliveirense on loan in January. 0. Matches won by Kolo Touré as manager of Wigan Athletic, who departed the championship club after only 9 games and less than 2 months in charge. 53.8%. Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp's win rate in his first 1,000 matches as a manager, a milestone that he passed in January. 24. Years since Newcastle United's last cup final after Eddie Howe's side reached the Carabao Cup final. Victory would bring, they didn't win. Victory would bring the Magpies their first domestic trophy since 1955. 867 number of seats allocated to both Newcastle and Manchester United in new safe standing areas for the EFL Cup final, the first major domestic men's cup final in nearly 35 years in which standing will be allowed in England. 7. Matches that Marseille defender Eric Bailly was banned for after being sent off in the French Cup for a chest-high challenge. There's a picture of it there. Really, 7? Seems a bit harsh. Maybe it's just a still. Most expensive deals in the January transfer window. It's like spot the non-Chelsea player. Enzo Fernandez, 106.8 million. Mikhailo Mudryk, 62. These are all in Great British pounds. Anthony Gordon, 40. Cody Gakpo, 35. Benoit Badiashile, 32.7. Jorginho Rutter, 32 million. Noni Madueke, 30.7. Vitinha, 28. Malo Gusto, 26.3. Malo Gusto, Lyon to Chelsea. That basically means bad taste. Ilya Zabarny, 24 million. Sulimana, 22 million. Leandro Trossard, 21 million. Dango Ouattara, 20 million. Who do you think is the best so far? I'm gonna go for maybe Cody Gakpo. Gerson's gone back to Flamengo. Kivio Danilo, Onuachu, Suta. Jorginho's not a bad one. Danny Ings has started quite well. Fofana, Ahamada, Lemina, Ndiaye, Shime. Oh yeah, I think Ndiaye Shime has been sensational for Nice. Yeah. Let me know in the comments. How should be a catalyst for change? By Jim Holden at the heart of the game. In no other country would a manager as impressive as Eddie Howe be made to wait 15 months for his next job after leaving Bournemouth. The revival of Newcastle United has added a fascinating new element to the Premier League title race this season. They have actually dropped away since this. Strong investment in players by the Saudi Arabian owners is part of the explanation, of course, but equally important has been the astute work of manager Eddie Howe in moulding a dynamic team. Howe's excellence and instant impact should be no surprise, but clearly was to many observers, perhaps because he's a member of that endangered species best described as the lesser spotted English football manager. At the time of writing, he was one of only 4 permanent English first-team bosses in the Premier League, along with Gary O'Neill, who's gone, Graham Potter, and Sean Dyche. 4 out of 20, an absurd figure. The contrast with other major leagues is stark. 17 of 20 are local in Italy, 13 of 18 in Germany, 15 of 20 in France, 13 of 20 in Spain. In no other country would a manager as impressive as Howe been made to wait 15 months for his next job after leaving Bournemouth, disdained by a succession of wealthy clubs. Tottenham, Chelsea and Everton all looked abroad during that period, while Manchester United dithered for so long about removing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer that the option vanished. How Arsenal became Premier League favourites. As Man City drew against Everton at home and lost to arch rivals Man United away, And Arsenal won at Tottenham in the North London derby and then beat United at the Emirates to go 5 points clear at the top of the Premier League table with a game in hand. The thought suddenly began to crystallise. Maybe this Arsenal are the real thing. Maybe they're not merely title contenders but the favourites. It is still relatively early days. Arsenal's win over United was the halfway point of the season, yet it took them to 50 points, making it one of the strongest first halves of a season in Premier League history. It is a tally that City themselves, despite all their recent dominance, have bettered only once. The record-breaking 2017-18 campaign. The great irony is that Arsenal have got to this position thanks, at least in part, to Pep Guardiola. On the radar, Stefan Bajcetic. When the Spain under-18 midfielder scored his first Premier League goal on Boxing Day, he was only 18 years old, 2 months and 4 days. Only Michael Owen and Raheem Sterling had scored in the league at a younger age for Liverpool, while Cesc Fabregas is the only Spaniard to have scored in England at a younger age. Since then, Bajcetic, well, if he's supposed to be Spanish, anyway, Bajcetic has continued to impress in the Reds' struggling midfield and was rewarded with a new long-term contract at Anfield just 5 months after signing his previous deal. He began his career at Celta Vigo. Xabi Alonso, Bayer Leverkusen. After starting his coaching career with Sociedad B, the former Spain midfielder has started his first senior role impressively, winning 5 Bundesliga games in a row between November and January. Romeo Beckham, Brentford B, the son of David, will spend the rest of this season in Brentford's development squad on loan from his dad's club, Inter Miami. Julian Duranville, Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund paid Anderlecht €9.6 million to sign the Belgium under-19 international, who's been compared to the likes of Jadon Sancho and Ousmane Dembele. He doesn't turn 17 until May. Rasmus Højlund, Atalanta. The 20-year-old Danish forward looks set to be Atalanta's next exciting young talent, after scoring 4 goals in 7 games in January. People on the move. Europe. Atletico Madrid signed right-back Matt Doherty on a free transfer from Tottenham, while Brazilian centre-back Felipe left the Spanish club to join Notts Forest. He was joined at the City ground by midfielder Jonjo Shelvey and attackers Gustavo Scarpa and Andre Ayew. Following the departure of Spanish right-wing back Pedro Porro, if he's Spanish, on loan to Tottenham, Sporting signed Hector Bellerin from Arsenal. Bayern Munich signed Daley Blind on a free transfer from Ajax. I didn't know that. Celtic continued their recent tradition of shopping in the Far East for new talent by signing Oh Hyung-kyu from Suwon Blue Wings and Yuki Kobayashi from Vissel Kobe on permanent deals, and Tomoki Iwata from Yokohama F. Marinos on loan, while they also snapped up Canada international Alistair Johnston from CF Montreal. Dejan Lovren left Russian side Zenit to rejoin former club Lyon. Wolverhampton Wanderers signed Spain winger Pablo Sarabia from PSG for £4.4 million, and West Ham centre-back Craig Dawson for £3.3 million. Athletic Bilbao completed the signing of Ander Herrera from PSG after the midfielder spent the first half of the season on loan. Veteran Algeria striker Islam Slimani joined Anderlecht from Brest. Former England under-21 internationals Nathaniel Chalobah and Josh Onoma left Fulham on free transfers to join West Brom Albion and Preston North End respectively, while another former Young Lion, Todd Cantwell, left Norwich City for Rangers. Former France winger Florian Thauvin joined Udinese from Mexican side Tigres. After exiting Al Nassr to make room for Cristiano Ronaldo, Cameroon striker Vincent Aboubakar joined Besiktas for the third time. Cracking player. Brighton continued their policy of recruiting unknown youngsters, signing Yassine Ayari from Swedish side AIK and Facundo Buonanotte from Rosario Central in Argentina. In the Premier League, Everton appointed ex-Burnley boss Sean Dyche following Lampard's sacking, and Southampton hired Nathan Jones to replace Ralph Hasenhüttl, while Gary O'Neill became Bournemouth's permanent manager after a spell as caretaker. Rangers appointed their former assistant Michael Beale as manager after sacking Van Bronckhorst, with Beale replaced at Queen's Park Rangers with Neil Critchie. Elsewhere in the Championship, Rob Edwards replaced Nathan Jones at Luton. Sabri Lamouchi replaced Mark Hudson as Cardiff boss. Mick McCarthy took over at Blackpool, and Norwich appointed ex-Huddersfield boss David Wagner, while Sean Maloney took the Wigan job after Kolo Touré's brief spell in charge. In League One, former Everton striker Duncan Ferguson took his first manager's job at Forest Green Rovers, who are in big trouble this year. Patrick Keys-Norbo became the first Australian to take charge of a club in Europe's top 5 leagues, really, after being hired by Ligue 1 Alfred 3, while Abdel Bouhazema replaced Gérard Baticle as Angers manager, and Eric Roy took charge of Brest. Ajax appointed ex-defender Johnny Heitinger to take charge of the team until the end of the season following the sacking of Alfred Schreuder. Bundesliga strugglers Stuttgart appointed Bruno Labbadia as coach 2 months after sacking Pellegrino Matarazzo. Verona hired Marco Zaffaroni as manager, with Salvatore Bocchetti relegated to assistant. Bocchetti used to play for Spartak Moscow. And Cremonese replaced Massimiliano Alvini with Davide Ballardini. In Spain, Pablo Machin replaced Jorge Almiron after just 1 month in charge of Elche. Belgian champions Club Brugge hired Scott Parker to replace Karl Hoefkens, and Brentford's assistant manager Brian Riemer left West London to take charge of Anderlecht. Elsewhere, Cas Euper hired Eduard Still as coach. Former Belgian coach Roberto Martinez took charge of Portugal after the departure of Fernando Santos, who joined Poland following the exit of Czeslaw Michniewicz. Elsewhere, former Ukraine boss Oleksandr Petragov joined Armenia. Faruk Hadzibegic took charge of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Silviniu became Albania manager. Michele Marcolini became Malta boss. And Michael O'Neill returned to take charge of Northern Ireland, replacing Ian Barraclough 3 years after departing the role. This one shocked me. Former Chelsea and Ghana manager Avram Grant took charge of Zambia. Okay, in Asia, Al Nassr made Cristiano Ronaldo the world's best paid player after his Man United contract was cancelled. The Saudi side also signed Agustin Rossi on loan from Boca Juniors for the rest of the season, with the goalkeeper set to join Flamengo in the summer. Qatar SC signed former Argentina midfielder Javi Pastore on a free transfer from Elche, and Arayan signed Morocco winger Sofiane Boufal from Angers. Emirati side Al Wahda signed ex-West Brom midfielder Mateus Pereira from Al Hilal. I was shocked at that. A-League side Western Sydney Wanderers signed ex-Southampton and Man United midfielder Morgan Schneiderlin on loan from Nice. South Korean side Ulsan Hyundai signed Swedish midfielder Darian Bojanic from Hammarby. Bruno Pinheiro became Qatar's interim boss after Felix Sanchez's exit. CONCACAF. In MLS, former Golden Boot winner Josef Martinez joined Inter Miami from Atlanta United DC. United signed former Leeds United stalwart Mateusz Klich from Portland Timbers, and Portland Timbers captured Brazilian Evander from Danish side Midtjylland. If he's the one I'm thinking of, he's really good. Central midfielder, sort of attacking midfielder. While Charlotte FC signed Ashley Westwood from Burnley. Tigres Huanel were the biggest spending club in Mexico. They're my favourite club in Mexico. Signing Uruguay midfielder Fernando Gorrearan from Santos Laguna, Argentine striker Nicolas Ibanez from Pachuca, and Brazilian defender Samir Caetano from Watford, as well as Mexico winger Diego Lainez on loan from Real Betis. Pachuca replaced Ibanez with Colombia striker Cristian Arango from LAFC. I'm familiar with him because he played next to Bale last year. South America. River Plate hired former Argentina and Man City centre-back Martin Demichelis after he began his management career with Bayern Munich 2. One of his first signings was Venezuela striker Salomon Rondon, who was released by Everton. Elsewhere, Santiago Ascacibar rejoined Estudiantes on loan from Hertha Berlin. Manchester City forwards Nahuel Bustos and Kaiki both returned to their home countries on loan, with Bustos rejoining former club Talleres, or as we say in Argentinian Spanish, Talleres, and Kaiki signed for Bahia in Brazil. As well as Uruguay legend Luis Suarez, Brazilian side Grêmio also signed former Man United left-back Fabio from Nantes. Meanwhile, Corinthians captured Yuri Alberto from Zenit, he's good, and Maicon from Shakhtar, while Atletico Mineiro signed winger Paulinho on loan from Bayer Leverkusen, good signing. And Ayrton Lucas completed a permanent move to Flamengo, having been there on loan from Spartak Moscow since March. Amazing left wing back. Love him. Gutted he left Spartak, but I understand why. Appointments, sackings and loans. World Cup winners Hugo Lloris and Raphael Varane both announced their retirements from the France national team. Other international retirements included Belgium's Eden Hazard and Spain's Sergio Busquets. Sevilla terminated the contract of ex-Real Madrid and Spain midfielder Isco, for whom a deadline day move to Union Berlin fell through at the last minute. Valencia sacked Italian manager Gennaro Gattuso, having hired him last summer. They're in big trouble. In France, Nice fired Lucien Favre and Strasbourg parted company with Julien Stéphan. And Nice's new manager basically hasn't lost a single match in any competition since he took over, and they're on a massive upturn. They're chasing European spots all of a sudden after being down in 11th. And they look good for it as well. I'm enjoying watching them. They're my favourite side in France. Former England internationals Gary Cahill and Aaron Lennon both announced their retirements. In Africa, Cameroon international André Onana retired from international duty, having fallen out with coach Rigobert Song during the World Cup. That's a big blow. Asia, Charlie Austin departed Brisbane Roar after just 6 months, returning to his former club Swindon Town in the CONCACAF. At the time of writing, Greg Berhalter has not had his contract renewed as United States manager. The team is currently being led by interim coach Anthony Hudson. Can you tell me if that's the same situation? I'm interested on the whole. I was going to do a video about Greg Berhalter because the situation's just bizarre. Yeah, if you want me to do that video on Greg Berhalter and the weird situation, then drop me a comment. Blaise Matuidi announced his retirement after his Inter Miami contract expired at the end of 2022. South America, former Brazil and Portugal boss Luis Felipe Scolari announced his retirement from football, bringing a 40-year coaching career to an end. What a legend. Okay, I feel like we've barely scratched the surface of this book. Plenty more to read through. I'll probably do this. They've just announced the Welsh squad, and it's the first time without Gareth Bale, so... And Aaron Ramsey is the captain, so that's a good shout in my opinion. I'll talk about that in a video very, very soon though. Okay, hope you enjoyed. And I'll probably do a video a week on this magazine because it's just so much content. Okay. Thanks so much if you enjoyed the video, click like, and if you're new to the channel, hello there, click subscribe for plenty more videos like this. Football and ASMR together at last.